Let's say you have an asymptomatic baby with a hematocrit above 75%. Do you set up for a partial exchange transfusion? And if you're going to, then what actually is a partial exchange transfusion? Hi, I'm Dr. Tala, a board-certified neonatologist, and in this video, we're going to be talking about PETs, or partial exchange transfusions, when we should be doing them, if we should be doing them, and if we are doing them, how do we do them? That was a lot. So let's start with what is a partial exchange transfusion? Well, what it is exactly what it sounds like. We are basically taking out the baby's blood and replacing that exact same volume with fluid. Usually we use normal saline with the goal of reducing the baby's hematocrit without also creating hypervolemia. So we want the baby's blood volume to stay similar, but we want to lower the baby's hematocrit. So why would we ever want to do this? Well, the thought is when the hematocrit becomes very high or you end up with polycythemia, the blood has a tendency to become more viscous. So it becomes sludgier. And especially in the little vessels in the body, where the blood is going pretty slowly anyway, if it's sludging, then you're not going to have good oxygen delivery to the cells. So the hope is that by lowering the hematocrit, you lower the viscosity of the blood and you improve the oxygenation to the cells. The truth of the matter is that studies where PETs have been done have not consistently shown that either short or long-term outcomes are improved when the PETs are done. So yes, a PET may allow us to feel better because the hematocrit is lower, but the data is very inconclusive about when we should ever be actually performing a partial exchange transfusion. So when do we actually do PETs now? Well, I think most people would agree that really the only time we would be doing this is when we have a very symptomatic baby, and those symptoms could be GI, like puking everywhere, very abdominal, very distended abdomen, or neuro symptoms, very irritable, or even having a seizure, or if the baby is having severe respiratory symptoms, so severe cyanosis, apneas, respiratory distress. So bad symptoms, and we've already tried hydration and the hematocrit is still really high, then that might be the combination of places where we might actually consider doing a PET. So for example, you have a 37-week recipient twin of a twin-twin transfusion with a hematocrit of 81 that's stuck on the vent at like 85%, and you are like, okay, I need to do anything to be able to help this baby. So how do you actually perform a partial exchange transfusion? Well, the theory is kind of pretty similar to an exchange transfusion, where you are, in an exchange transfusion though, you are taking out the whole blood and then replacing the mixed packed red blood cells with your FFP. In this situation, you're taking out the whole blood and you are replacing it with normal saline. So you are just, again, trying to dilute the concentration of the hematocrit in the blood. So to kind of calculate exactly how much blood volume needs to come out and then be replaced, you have to do a calculation. The calculation is a bit different from the exchange transfusion calculation. Here, what you're basically determining is where your hematocrit is starting. What's your hematocrit right now? Where do you want the hematocrit to actually end up? And how big is the baby? Obviously, the bigger the baby, the more blood the baby has. Generally, each baby has between 80 to 100 mLs per kilo of their blood volume. So the actual equation is the observed hematocrit, so whatever your hematocrit is now, minus the desired hematocrit, so the hematocrit that you want to end up at, normally this is 50 or 55, divided by the observed hematocrit, multiplied by the weight of the baby, multiplied by the mLs per kilo of the baby's blood. Normally we use about 90 mLs per kilo, just because generally babies with a higher hematocrit generally have kind of like a higher blood level, blood load anyway. So let's say that you have a hematocrit of 75% in a 3 kilo baby, and you want the final hematocrit to be 50. Then the volume you need to exchange is 75 minus 50 divided by 75 times 3 times 90, which is 25 divided by 75 times 270, or 90 ml. So In total, you want to take out 90 mLs of the baby's blood and replace with 90 mLs of normal saline. Usually, the amount of volume that you are exchanging in a partial exchange transfusion is somewhere between 20 to 40 mLs per kilo. So if you're really outside this range, then you've probably done the calculations wrongly. Here, this is a 3 kilo baby and it calculated out to be 90 mLs, so exactly 30 mLs per kilo per baby. So this sounds very appropriate. So just like in exchange transfusion, we're generally not taking out all the blood and then putting all the fluid back in. We're generally doing this in aliquots of about 5 mLs per kilo. So normally this ends up being between 10 mLs to 20 mLs per aliquot. So you can do the maths and realize that generally a partial exchange transfusion is actually a lot faster than doing a double volume exchange transfusion, just because it's much less fluid that's actually being exchanged. So the logistics of actually doing it, definitely this should be an informed consent situation with a family. Like we've already said, we're not 100% certain that a partial exchange transfusion definitely helps babies. And really, we're doing this kind of in the desperate hopes of making the really sicker babies better. But on top of that, it has been shown that there could be a slightly increased risk of the development of NEC when babies have received PET. So definitely this should be an informed consent situation. The baby is going to need access, obviously, to be able to take out the blood and to put in the normal saline. Normally, we take out the blood through a UVC or a UAC if there's already one in place, and we'll put the normal saline back in through a peripheral IV. Sometimes you can use the UVC as well to remove blood and maybe use the second lumen to put in the normal saline. That can kind of be tricky if everybody's all over the same space. But whatever you're doing, make sure that somebody is counting the number of aliquots that you're done, and you're very certain that you're taking out the blood and giving the normal saline at about the same time, and that you are replacing the blood volume appropriately. After the procedure is finished, then you should get a hematocrit about 4 hours later. Normally it takes a little bit of time for that hematocrit to kind of equilibrate, and so getting one immediately afterwards might not reflect exactly what the hematocrit of the baby is. So just a quick reminder that you should not be doing a PET on every single baby with a high hematocrit, but you should consider it in a baby with a really high hematocrit with really bad symptoms that is not responding to the standard hydration. Like always, we should be treating the baby and not the number. I hope that was helpful for you. If you reached the end of this video, then please like this video and subscribe to our channel if you have any interest in neonatal education. Thanks so much for being here.